Hi guys, Meru here, and welcome to my first ever cosplay tutorial. So this isn't going to be a traditional tutorial in the sense that I'm going to show you how to build something, basically like follow along from start to finish, but I'm going to go through and talk more in depth about one of my particular props that you guys have been asking a lot about, and that is my Arkham Asylum Fear Toxin Glove Scarecrow. Arkham Asylum Scarecrow. That's what I meant to say. So as you can see, this is already a fully built prop, and I don't really have the means to build an entirely new one to show you the process, but I'm going to talk a little bit more in depth about how I made this one in particular, so hopefully that helps answer questions that a lot of you have been having lately, and maybe sparks other questions that you might want answered. I don't know. So that's just how we're gonna go. We're just gonna go with it. So again, this is my Fear Toxin Glove. It's pretty fancy, and I can kind of show you what it looks like a little bit like on my arm. So you would put it on your arm like this, and then all the fingers would go onto my fingers like thus, and then you have your claws. So we'll start off, basically I think I have a few of the pieces here of what I made, and I'll do my best to describe exactly what the pieces are and to actually put links in the description below for some of these pieces, because it's kind of hard to tell what some of the stuff is when it's all like painted and put together. So first off, this middle part here, the like main part of this guy is a dryer tube. So when I say dryer tube, I mean, yes, dryer tube like that you can buy at a hardware store. I actually have a leftover piece of it here because unfortunately you cannot buy a dryer tube in small pieces. I had to buy this in, I don't even know how long this was. It's like a standard size because it can stretch out, and that's what a dryer tube is supposed to do. It's you buy it in a scrunched up piece and then you stretch it out to use it for your dryer. But I did not want it scrunched out. So dryer tube, I don't know if this is a particular kind. This is the kind that's like all metal. You can find the kind that are very commonly seen that stretch out, and then they have an accordion like material in between like the metal pieces, so when it stretches out it's kind of like crunchy and almost like aluminum foil looking. This was solid metal though. I got the solid metal one. And I think it's a little bit more expensive than the other kind, but it just has that better look. Like it has that really nice metally ridged look, if you can tell. So dryer tube. Can get this at any hardware store. Home Depot, Lowe's, Ace. I think you can even get these at Walmart. I'm not sure, but I got mine at Home Depot and then put it on my arm. Figured out how long I wanted it. We cut it, and that's the main part of this prop. From there, so you have your dryer tube, and then from there you're gonna have these PVC pipes. They're like PVC pipe adapters. I know it's really hard to tell. Again, I will have links below so you guys can kind of see, but these are just the white PVC pieces. They're scuffed up, they're scratched, they're painted a lot. I know it's hard to tell what they are, but I got two basically that looked kind of like what his pieces looked like. So again, PVC pipe adapters. That's the best explanation I can give for what these are. But again, I'll put links below to kind of show you guys what they look like, what they're not all painted in that. And then the question I commonly get is, okay, so you got your two PVC pipe adapters. You want to make sure you might get ones obviously big enough for your arm and your hand to fit through, but once your hand is through, that it doesn't just slide off easily when your hand is open or when you make a fist. See how like I can slide my hand through it, but then once my hand's through it, if it's splayed or in a fist, it will not come off. I have unusually skinny arms and small hands, so this was a lot harder for me than it might be for some people. It might be harder to find things that you can fit your arm through. Say you're a guy that has large forearms and hands. I don't know, or even a girl that does. But you can always shave it down on the inside if you need to. But these few bucks each piece. So it's going to look weird when you go to the hardware store, but I highly recommend that you try to fit it over your hand. You will look like a weirdo. I often look like a weirdo when I go to the hardware store and try to put PVC parts on my hands, or I measure the height of PVC against my body for a staff and have people look at me weird. But you know what? You do you, and you just don't worry about it. Just don't worry about it. So again, PVC pipe adapters. I think this is like a male and a female adapter. I know that sounds weird, but if you understand PVC pipe or just in general terms of things, you'll get that. So yeah, I think it's pretty good. So then the next question I get is, once you have this on, if you do get the like less expensive kind that does just kind of spring and want to like pop open and doesn't want to stay like in this nice scrunched up like this. This is why I got this too, because it stays scrunched up. Some of the dryer tube wants to like pop open or you know, not stay together. It's like a spring. So how do you get it to stay together? How do you get it to stay all nice and scrunched up? So you get your dryer tube, got your two ends here, and then you see the Fear Toxin tanks here on the side. These, if you notice here, I have these cut to a certain length. So I put it all together, saw how long I wanted to be, and then thought, okay, we need to have a certain length of PVC pipe for the tank. And then these are PVC caps, PVC pipe caps put on either side, and then they are glued to the ends here. Once you put it all together, I glued these together, and that is holding it together, because see, these aren't going to come off. I mean, they might come off, but not going to come off. And then they have these metal brackets holding this part down. So it's holding the pipe down, but then making it so the cap, obviously, since it's too fat, cannot move. So it cannot wiggle and it cannot move. So it is holding everything together, if that makes sense. So you see how these little like metal, and that's actually what these little brackets are for. They're like for pipes. They're like for if you're doing pipes and stuff in your house or whatever, to like bracket and attach it to things so they kind of hold them up. So essentially they're these little like, I guess it's kind of a U-shaped bracket that you can buy in packs that come just like that. They're already bent like that and everything. And you can buy them for the specific width of pipe that you're using. And again, this part here is just black PVC pipe. It's not super fancy. It's not super rigid. You don't have to worry too much about getting high grade PVC stuff when you're making something like this, because again, you're not using this for its intended purpose. It doesn't have to worry about sustaining, you know, water pressure or anything like that. It's for decorative costuming use. So don't worry about getting these super expensive PVC or pipe or anything like that. This is just the black. It's like the cheapest kind of PVC, and I can't remember. I know there's a name for it. Again, I'll put links below to all these things so you can find them easily of what I used. And then from there, these obviously were pretty complicated. So started with the piece of PVC pipe. I wanted you to be able to see the fluid, the Fear Toxin, going through it, and that is where you can see the orange in there is actually the EL wire. So you can see, I don't know how well you're going to be able to see it with the lights, but you can see it lights up and it hums, so you know that it's on. But you can see the orange going through there. That is the EL wire. This one has 2 in it because this goes to my 2 middle fingers here. I wanted you to be able, that's really annoying. It also flashes, but pew, pew. That is the, so I wanted to be able to see the fluid. There is the PVC pipe. That's your base. I then just traced out like a little window that I wanted. We cut that out. We then put plastic tubing. So this is just plastic tubing, again, that you can buy at the PV, or at the, at the hardware store. Basic plastic clear tubing. Put a piece of clear tubing in there. And then I can't put, the tube is going to fall on the floor. I put hair gel in there, which is actually kind of all dried out now and kind of gross looking, because that happens over time and I need to clean that up and maybe refill it. But clear tubing, fed the EL wire through this, filled it up with hair gel. So when you turn it on, when it was like newest, I would have like that kind of weird bubbly, the hair gel would have like little bubbles in it to give it kind of like a weird creepy toxin feeling. And then use caulking to, you can't really see it, I think in one of these, yeah, the one where it's kind of broken here, the cap on this one actually kind of came off. I need to fix that. But you can see in there's like caulking, and that rubber caulking is making it so nothing leaks out of there. So when we fed the EL wire through there, then filled it with the hair gel and then caulked around it so it doesn't come out. You can see that there. Again, I'm sorry if I'm not explaining any of this in enough detail. Again, it's kind of hard to explain what I did when I've already done it. I can't show you as I'm doing it, but hopefully this answers maybe some questions or spurs other questions that might help out with what you want. So if you do have questions, please let me know. The EL wires are all, it's just standard EL wire that was snipped into 4. It's like one long piece that we snipped into 4 pieces that are the proper length so I could reach my hand and everything. They all come out of the bottoms here where they're all wired at the bottoms of all the, see the little tubes? All these wires then come down into one big wire, which comes in down into my battery pack, which is a 3-setting battery pack like I showed before, so they can be on. They can flash slowly or they can flash quickly. And as far as getting into too much detail about the wiring, I can link to some EL wiring tutorials. I did not do the wiring for this piece. This was all done by Shadow, so he is the one that actually knows all about the wiring with lighting. If you would like a tutorial on how the lighting works more, I can maybe have him help you guys, show you how that is done. But I can also link some tutorials for how to wire up LEDs and EL wires and all that if you would like. So I think basically, you know, it's kind of straightforward with what I did. It's just getting all these tiny little pieces and putting them all together. And then after that, everything was sanded. Actually, I think before, yeah, all this stuff was, after I put it all together, I sanded all the exposed area, all the area that you could see. And then the entire thing was sprayed with primer aside from the metal tube. I think that, yeah, maybe I sprayed everything with primer, then put it all together, then sanded it all, again, just a little bit. And then everything is painted with silver rub and buff. So it's not like a standard paint, it's a metallic-y type paint that is just fantastic. It's like one of those paints that a little goes a long way. So I highly recommend everybody look up Rub and Buff. Fantastic paint. And then basically took a dry brush to it with black and just dry brushed all over it to make it look gritty, to make it look old, to make it look kind of nasty. Some of the paint is actually chipping off of it here and there. Again, from wear and tear. I've worn this costume a lot. I have not stored it properly. You can tell because one of the EL wires actually does not even work anymore. My pinky doesn't even light up anymore because I didn't store it properly, and I think one of the wires got mangled up a little bit. So yeah, unfortunately that's what happens because I don't have a proper place to store all of my cosplays, so they just kind of get mangled, and I'm just the worst at taking care of them. So we'll go on into the fingers here. Again, if I'm going too fast, I'm sorry. It's just, I don't know exactly how to show this off when it's already been pre-built, and I don't know how to tell you how to do it, or because I can't really show you. Here's what's really kind of cool though. This one's actually popped out a little bit. Oh, this, yeah. But here kind of shows you there's still hair gel in this one. So let's see if we can turn this one on. Does this one light up? Yeah, so if we can kind of get it lit up a little bit. If you can see here, see, this one has the hair gel and everything. So you can see how the hair gel gives it this like weird kind of creepy bubbly effect. See how you can see the bubbles and everything? And that's why I did the hair gel, because it just gives it this like gooey, weird, you know, look to it. That it's just like there's all these creepy little bubbles and it lights up and everything. So that's kind of what the idea was with, you know, behind that, is just with the hair gel. And I actually learned that tip from someone else who did a tutorial on a glove. This one actually looks really cool because it's got like a lot of bubbles. But yeah, I just thought that was cool. I hate how this thing like whines. It just like makes a really weird whiny sound. Okay, so the injectors, these were pretty straightforward. So this piece down here is a piece of PVC pipe that I cut just to give it this kind of crude look to it. These are actually horse syringes. So I went to a place we have here. I don't know if they're all over the United States. Highly doubt that they're in other countries. but it's called Big R, and it's basically a ranch supply store. So it's the kind of place you would go if you had a ranch and needed things for larger animals or farming or just general outdoor kind of life. I think they have like saddles and just like guns and hunting stuff and just like all kinds of things. So it's called Big R. We have them here in Colorado, obviously, because it's Colorado. And they're just horse syringes. They were about $1 something, $1.30 a piece. Of course, they came with these stoppers. They had no needles. You could buy the needles separately, but I did not buy the needles because I didn't want real needles on the edge of this because I don't actually want to stab anyone. So, standard syringe. I taped off a little bit of a window with masking tape, as you can see here. And painted the whole thing the same way with the primed it, and then did rub and buff, and then the black dry brush kind of to gritty it up. This top piece here is like a little bolt, just a little cheap bolt that I found. I found like a pack of like 6 of them, I think. So a little cheap bolt, and then hot glued, and then this piece is actually the inside of a pen, like a writing pen, you know, like the inside of a pen. Literally the inside of an old pen. And took that off. I kind of snipped it. Well, you can see I kind of snipped it at an angle, so it kind of has that needle effect. Painted it. The paint's actually coming off of it because they were kind of hard to paint because they're weirdly smooth plastic, and I don't think I sanded them well enough, so the paint's actually chipping off all of them. But just a pen. Hot glued that into the center of that bolt. So it was like a bolt hot glued on that had a hole in it. Just filled that with hot glue, stuck that in there, and voila, you have a syringe looking type apparatus going on there. Then the bottom here is filled with foam because I have teeny tiny fingers, and this was the only kind of PVC I could use because it was the only kind that fit around the syringes. So it kind of filled them with foam so I could actually stick them onto my fingers and that they would stay. So I have little tiny baby fingers and I could not get them to stay on otherwise. So yeah, so then it just kind of goes on like that, and you just kind of move. And same way with the hair gel to keep it in. So see, fingers. Oh, that one is actually on the wrong finger, so yeah, they stay on pretty well. You'll have to adjust it to your fingers and everything, but you can just put, and it's just the little craft foam that I kind of took little pieces of. Probably really hard to see that. Little craft foam pieces that I cut, and then just adjusted it and kept putting in more until it felt like it fit my finger properly, so it wasn't like pinching my fingers, but that they could stay on. I think other than that, I don't know. I think that might be all. Kind of a very brief explanation of what I did. And again, not sure if that is helpful. Not sure how useful any of that information is, if it just confused some of you more. But I just feel like it's pretty straightforward. It's just, think of it as a giant puzzle piece. So it's just getting all these individual pieces and then putting it together in the way that you think looks right. This is just in particular what we did and what I did and how I liked it. It is not too heavy. It's probably maybe 5 pounds. Maybe. It might be less than that actually. It might be like 3 pounds. So it's not too heavy. And it can be semi-comfortable to wear. The one thing to look out for when doing this, like I said, when you want to find something where your hand can fit through, but where your hand will not come out. If you hold your hand, so if you're walking around all day and you have your hand like to your side, like kind of holding it down because your arm's tired, it is going to rest on, it's going to tend to rest on like this part and this part of your hand. So if you have your hand like down all day, or when you're wearing it at certain times, it's going to rest on those. So I highly recommend maybe putting a little bit of like cushion, without making it so you can't fit your hand through it. Maybe a little piece of foam or something around here, like felt or something, just to kind of ease it. Because I did notice that my hand would really start to hurt after a while and actually go numb. So maybe get something that you can, or maybe just put a little bit of something around your wrist. Like if you're wearing the gloves that he has, maybe just extend it down here a little bit so you have a little bit of a cushion. That's my tip. That's my general tip. Something that I didn't do that I wish I would have done. But yeah, hopefully that helped answer your guys' questions, some of them that you have had. I will be putting tons of links in the description below on a lot of what these individual pieces are, what they look like not put together, what they look like with the paint, what kind of EL wire that I used, and maybe somewhere that you can find it. I think I bought it from a website called Lights for All Occasions. And then this little 3-way battery pack thing we have was from Radio Shack. So, I'll put tons of links below, tons of links, and I'll put some pictures of, I'll put links to some pictures of like the materials that I used before they were all kind of ripped apart and garbly gooped, because I think I have some pictures. And again, you know, like I have dryer tube. Most of this stuff can be found at the hardware store, including this plastic tubing. I don't know if I mentioned that, but this I actually also bought at Home Depot. Almost everything that you see here, aside from the EL wire and the syringes, I bought at Home Depot. So pretty much all of it. I would say that this probably costs less than, definitely less than 50 bucks, maybe even less than that to make this. You know, if you include the EL wire and all that, that can be a little bit expensive. And then all the wiring and the battery pack and all that. So probably less than 50 bucks, maybe less than 40 even. So yeah, I hope you guys, I hope this was somewhat informative. I hope this is somewhat helpful. I will be doing more tutorials in the future where I actually show you how I'm making something from start to finish, so it's a little bit more understandable and a little bit less just tons of information thrown at you without you really seeing what I'm doing. So again, any questions, any comments, please leave them down below. I am happy to answer whatever I can, and until next time, I hope you all have a fantastic day. Bye!